I want to talk about the release position, how the arm gets extended through impact, and what it means to actually get the face on plane on both sides of the swing. One of the things I look for in great golf swings is not only the plane of the club, obviously starting at the address position and how we start the club at a really nice position on the design or plane of the golf club, how we move it back onto plane, and then how we release onto plane. So there's areas that I look for as far as checkpoints in the swing. And why do I look for swing plane? Because that's really indicating the path of the golf club. So we have the path going back and through. And if you take, if you set up on the single plane, obviously you take it back, that's gonna mirror, that plane's gonna mirror the impact plane, and that plane's gonna mirror here on the release plane. So we're gonna see this plane on the backswing, impact, and on the through swing. That's a very important thing I look for in the swing. But what's interesting about it is most of what the golf ball is doing is relative to club face. They are related. You can't have great path of a club and closed club face. There's always these relationships between how the arms rotate and how the club moves. So they're basically working together. However, another big checkpoint that I look for is face plane. Face plane is telling me not only am I on the plane here at address where the face is square, but I go back and that club face is planing here, comes down, look at the club face here, it's basically planed with the back of the hand. And then when it comes down from here, it squares. There's that full range of motion with the lead hand. It releases, and then look here, it's back to the plane, and then there, back to the plane. So I'm seeing the club face plane as well. Now, what you're seeing in all this motion of the plane and the face is really how the arms and hands are working through the swing. What I'm looking for in good mechanics is the most efficient use of the hands and the arms. I always tell people, I don't want you to manipulate the club. I want you to, and I'll give you an idea what it means to have manipulation. If I do this, if I take this golf ball and I go to skip a rock, this would be a non-rotational, non-manipulated throw. See, I'm not rotating, I'm just basically putting my hand into extension and then flexion. And so watch my arm, I'm turning from extension to flexion. So this is a non-rotational throw. So I can do that, and that's very much non-rotational. I'm not rotating the hand, I'm not flipping it around. I'm just going basically extension and flexion. So that's what I look for in the natural motion of a swing. We can produce the same type of motion with the arms, and then if we have the club face correctly positioned in the hand, so if I have my lead hand in its range of motion where the face angle is square, so now I have the lead hand squaring the face, and now I take the club back onto plane. Notice the club face, it is also planing. So now the face is plane, it's gonna square, it has to square because of the range of motion of the hand, and then when I skip the rock, it's gonna plane again. So again, it planes on this side. So I'm looking for face plane. The problem that you're gonna have if you have a decent swing path is if you don't have the face plane correctly, you're gonna have a closed face possibly to the plane. And now that ball is gonna go left. It's gonna misdirect the golf ball wherever it's gonna go. But what happens is, and here's where I see people have the problem, if they don't correct the face plane, which is the hands on the golf club and the relationship of the hands, if their face is closed, for example, they're gonna come down and they're gonna have to manipulate their body. They're gonna have to rotate the arms. So you're gonna have to produce a rotation to stop the face from squaring. This is why I stress the fact that you have to get the address position and the hand positions correct. You have to match those things. Because now, quite frankly, I want to be able to swing as hard as I want at a golf ball. Timing, tempo, all those things, but it's all matching the plane of the club, the path, with the face angle. If I do that, I can swing, I can accelerate very fast, knowing that the face will square up every single time. So, in other words, if I get all this stuff lined up correctly, back of the hand to the club face, I know it's gonna plane correctly, I know that when it gets to impact, it's gonna be square, and it's gonna be back on plane here. I can release the golf club as hard as I want. And it's gonna go fly straight every single time. It just has to, because there's no way I can not have the face square. I say a lot, no way I can not have it square. Now, that leads me to release, because people ask, well, how do you release the club? You will not release the club correctly if I don't have the face angle correct. Because when I get this hand correctly placed on the club and I get this one in a position just like I skipped that rock, that's actually release. See, I'm skipping a rock and I'm getting this back to square and then releasing it. So that release of the hand and the skipping of the rock releases the face back to the plane. I want to make a full release. I want all the energy that I've created, the leverage I've created, to release to the golf ball. I want to get through there. I want to swing hard. But here's what I get, and what you'll get if you do this correctly. You'll get consistent impact positions because this shaft is entering the golf ball the exact same way every single time as it releases. You get consistency. Well, when I get consistency down there, guess what I get? I get consistent ball flight, consistent distances. I start hitting it farther. That's why release is so important. I'm releasing the energy that's in my wrist and my arms to full extension. So again, proper address, proper grip, leverage the club on plane and release it all the way through it, planing on both sides of it. You can swing hard and the face will always square up as long as you're paying attention to path and face on both sides. Hope that helps you understand a little bit about club plane, face plane. And release.